Sometimes all it takes to get that exciting new clothes feeling is looking at what we already own with different eyes. As summer approaches, we are being bombarded with new collections and micro-trends, trying to convince us we need better yellow clothes, polka dots, more gingham garments, and basically an entire wardrobe every 3 business days. So today, instead of buying new clothes, I'm fixing the tiny things that stop me from wearing the ones I already have. Hello friends! Welcome to my channel and to the 4th episode of my summer wardrobe series. In my last video I showed you how I own more oversized t-shirts to wear at home than actually going out clothes, and today we are making something about it. Most of them will stay as pyjamas and homewear forever, but some are cute and with some fixes I could be wearing them for other purposes. The main reason I don't wear them outside is because they are too long and I feel like a tiny toddler. I like the oversized fit, but not that they are so long to cover my silhouette completely. So what I can do is just hem them so they fit properly. This is something you can make for any garment, even with pants, so it's a valuable skill to learn. If you ever struggle to repair or modify your clothes, I can really recommend the class The Basics of Clothing Repairs by April Jackson on Skillshare. Skillshare is the sponsor of today's video and a great place to learn a creative skill or pick up a new hobby. If you are looking to reconnect with your creativity and maybe avoid brain rot for a little while, you will find great teachers and classes designed for real lives. I've actually been using Skillshare for over a year now, and one of my favorite classes I've taken is Photo Embroidering with 10 Simple Stitches by Peggy Dean. She also has a travel journaling class that made me want to start documenting little moments more creatively. It's so fun finding new ways to curb the doom scroll. If you'd like to learn from amazing creatives too, the first 500 people to use my link in the description or scan the QR code will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Thank you again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. I have hemmed t-shirts before, so I don't know why it took me so long to modify these ones. What I do is I try on the t-shirt and I pin how long I want it. I always use the original hem, so what I do is grab the hem and pin it to the length I want. And once sewn, the original hem will stay there. I will do this to every t-shirt. I've used only one pin because this will be my reference. Then I will measure how much I'm taking out and add more pins at the same measure so it draws a straight line. This is where we are sewing. You can do this with a regular presser foot, but a walking foot works much better. It helps prevent the fabric from stretching while you sew, which makes the hem look much neater in the end. Making a long stitch also helps with the stretchy fabric situation. After that seam is done, I press it and I cut the excess fabric, leaving around 1 cm. As you can see, this also works to get rid of a stain at the bottom of your t-shirt. I will make a zigzag and then top stitch it so it stays flat. And voila, here's the first t-shirt. This took me 20 minutes tops. When I have little mending jobs like this, I usually let them pile for a while and then tackle them all in one sewing session. I find it much more motivating than taking out the sewing machine just for one tiny alteration. There are a couple of t-shirts that I think I won't be able to hem. I don't know if you can see this, but from use, these ones have stretched out too much and have a curve that won't allow me to make a straight hem, so I will just skip these ones. So take in mind that this might actually not work with every t-shirt. I managed to fix 4 out of 6 t-shirts. I used these t-shirts for home only, now they can have other uses. I love this one to go to the pool with my nephew. This one looks very cute with my skirts and I'm very happy to be using it again. I'm quite fond of it because I got it many years ago when I stopped eating meat and it was lying untouched in my wardrobe for years. And this one was my mom's and will be great for hiking now that allows more freedom of movement around my hips. I'm very happy with this. It was very quick and simple and you can use this method to crop your old t-shirts for summer. Another easy idea is to add a colorful bias binding to your existing t-shirts or even embroider something on the plain ones. I have 2 little updates from the last few videos. The first one is that I went back to the Solidarity shop for the nightgown I tried on last week and it was still there. This time I took a closer look and I'm pretty sure it's handmade. The seams aren't finished with an overlocker or even a zigzag stitch, they are finished by hand. It also doesn't have a tag anywhere. And now that I know that, I love it even more. The second update is about my crochet top. I've been slowly working on it between projects and recently started the first front panel. It feels really nice to have a project with no deadline attached to it. Sewing can sometimes become a race to finish things, but crochet refuses to be rushed. One stitch at a time is the only speed it knows. And I think there's something quite comforting about that. Going back to the sewing, I want to thrift flip this dress I bought second-hand 2 or 3 years ago. I've hardly worn it because the fit is a bit confusing. It hangs like a potato sack, but at the same time the skirt isn't wide enough to walk comfortably. Also, it has this hood that I thought very original at the time, but it's moving all the time and it's annoying to wear. And I don't use it as a hood because this is how it looks. I tend to prefer dresses that are more fitted at the top and have a bit more movement at the bottom, so this one never quite worked for me. The fabric though, it's absolutely gorgeous. It has that beautiful vintage feel that made me buy the dress in the first place, so I'm really happy to finally give it a second chance. Since I'm going to modify this, I might fix the hems at the neck. They used a plain black thread and it looks quite messy. My first idea was to turn this dress into a matching set, a pair of shorts and a little top. My friend Noor made this top recently and I wanted one too. But then I saw this dress on Instagram and I saw the light. If I shortened the skirt above the knee, it would already be much more comfortable to wear. And if you've watched my recent videos, you probably already know exactly which fabric I'm thinking about pairing it with the pockets. My beloved thrifted blueberry red bedsheet makes another appearance. I already have other monochromatic dresses. This would look very different and fun. I'm going to start by unstitching the hoodie and fixing the neck seams, and then I will cut the bottom to make it shorter. The neckline seams are looking much better now. The black thread at the armholes doesn't bother me too much, but the lining keeps wanting to peek out, which is a little annoying. I gave it a good press and added another seam to help it stay where it's supposed to. This is so much better, especially now that we are constantly dealing with heat waves. I still wish the skirt had a bit more volume and movement though. I'd love for it to be wider and flowier. Maybe I'm overcomplicating things, but I'm going to unpick the side seams and see if I can add an insert to create a little more fullness. So that didn't work. I mean, this side looks okay-ish, but the other side it's pretty terrible. If you have any tips for making a dress wider, I'd love to hear them. I could probably keep trying to make it work, but sometimes it's important to recognize when a technique is still beyond our current skill level. When we get stuck on a project, the best thing we can do is to go back to the last point where everything was working. So I'm going to unpick these seams, sew the side seams back the way they were, and call this experiment a learning experience. Then all that's left to do is add the red pockets. And done! This might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I think it's such a fun piece. It reminds me of Pippi Longstocking, and wearing it makes me feel like a happy kid again. It's also much more comfortable now that it's shorter and doesn't have the hood anymore. If you're wondering about the mark on my knee, I had 2 surgeries there, and I don't scar very well. Anyway, I'm really happy with how this turned out. Giving clothes a second chance is always so satisfying, and now I'm feeling inspired to start one more project. For our last project, I've been putting this one for so long because I'm so scared of ruining it, but I think it's finally time. I thrifted this dress a while ago for €12 because I completely fell in love with the fabric, and then when I got home and checked the label, I realized it's actually retail for something between €1 and €200. The problem is that the design feels a little confusing somehow. It has long sleeves and this button-up collar that feels very autumn-winter, but then the skirt is kind of short. I feel like it either needs to be longer or fully commit to being a little summer dress without sleeves. Also, the color suffocates me and I cannot stand it. My plan is to remove or cut the sleeves and fully take off the collar. I'm going to take one sleeve out so I can see how it would look, and I can always sew it back. So here I'm going to test how the sleeveless looks next to short sleeves. So I took one of my favorite dresses as reference and I'm going to cut the sleeves just a tiny bit shorter than this one. Sleeveless is looking nice, but I think it would be much more versatile with short sleeves. That way I could wear it through more of the year and layer it more easily. So I'm going to reattach the sleeve and shorten it. For the collar, I'm going to fold it and play around with the shape a little. I think a more open neckline would look really pretty and, more importantly, it would let me breathe. Now let's see if I can actually make it work. I've cut the collar leaving a few centimeters so I can use it as a bias binding. I think that went pretty well. I still have to take out 1,000 threads, but this fabric is so easy to sew with. The stitches look very clean. Let's try how it looks. This is so much better. I'm so glad I found the courage to make these changes. Here's a close-up of the neck, and here we have a small detail of the finishing. This was improvised, but I think it looks cute. I'm going to be using it so much more now. It feels very comfortable and fresh. In fact, I'm going to leave it on, and this is how I'm going to work at the workshop. Can you tell I love green? Here's the before and after. I hope you enjoyed the video and found some inspiration to look at your wardrobe with other eyes. See you next week. Adeu!